defense. Okay, all right. Ms. Boone is seated at counsel's table, wearing the same clothing from this morning. Yes, Mr. Beck.
Judge, they've got her in chains and they've got her ankle handcuffs, so she can't go anywhere. I'm just asking, we would like to rise during the jury coming in. I'm asking if there's any way we can take off the handcuffs and the waist chain so that the jury wouldn't see it in case there's something wrong with the verdict form or, there's an issue, which sometimes happens, but that's my position.
Okay. I've been advised by the sheriff that during the reading of the verdict, due to Ms. Boone's status as an inmate, their leg irons and the cuffs are to be attached.
She's going to stay seated.
That's fine.
Mr. Beck's going to stay seated.
Well, that
all remain seated, and could you remind everybody in the gallery?
that pretty much tells you what it is right there.
I was just about to address that, sir. Thank you very much. All right, members of the jury, my understanding, or members of the gallery, good evening. My understanding is that the jury in this matter has reached a verdict. I don't know what it's going to be until it's read. If you are unable to contain yourself emotionally and you're going to react in any way, be it in joy or in sadness, I'm going to ask you politely to excuse yourself at this time. There cannot be any emotional outbursts when the verdict is read. Does everybody understand that? I see everybody nodding their heads. Okay. State, are we ready to bring in our jury?
Yes, sir.
Defense, are we ready to bring in our jury?
Yes, Judge.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in our jury. Everyone will remain seated.
And
State, you recognize our jury. Defense, you recognize our jury. All right, members of the jury, you may be seated. Thank you. Members of our jury, good evening. I understand that you've come to a verdict in this case.
Yes.
If you could please hand the verdict form to the deputy, please. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, if you could please publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the Ninth Judicial Circuit and in Orange County, Florida, case number 2020 CF 2603, the state of Florida versus Sarah Boone. Verdict. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree as charged in the information. So say we all dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida on this 25th day of October 2024. The form has been signed by the four persons.
Madam Clerk, please poll our jury.
Juror seat number 1, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes, it is.
Juror seat number 2, is this your true and correct verdict? Yes, it is. Juror seat number 3, is this your true and
Yes, it
correct
is.
verdict? Juror
Fantastic.
seat number 4, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror seat number 5, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes.
Juror seat number 6, is this your true and correct verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Members of our jury, again, I want to thank you for your time, your sacrifice, and your attention in this matter. I know that we spent almost 2 weeks together and it was not taken lightly, and I really appreciate the time and the effort and the sacrifice that you put into this case. I want to advise you now of your final instruction. Members, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you for your time and your consideration in this case. I also wish to advise you of some very special privileges enjoyed by jurors. No juror can ever be required to talk about the discussions that occurred in the jury room except by court order. For many centuries, our society has relied upon juries for consideration of difficult cases. We have recognized for hundreds of years that a jury's deliberations discussions, and votes should remain their private affair as long as they wish it. Therefore, the law gives you a unique privilege not to speak about the jury's work. Although you are at liberty to speak to anyone about your deliberations, you are also at liberty to refuse to speak to anyone. A request to discuss either your verdict or your deliberations may come from those who are simply curious, from those who might seek to find fault with you, from the media, from the attorneys, or elsewhere. It will be up to you to decide whether to preserve your privacy as a juror. With that, members of the jury, again, I thank you for your service. I'm going to ask you return to the deliberation room. I'll be back there shortly with your jury certificates, and thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm looking if this monster will ever display emotion, but I don't think she will. I thought she would have an outburst.
Ms. Boone, the jury has spoken in this matter and has found you guilty of murder in the second degree. The court adjudicates you guilty of murder in the second degree. As this is your first felony conviction, you are entitled to a pre-sentencing investigation by the Department of Corrections. Mr. Owens, are you seeking that in this case?
Yes.
Okay. State, I will order the Department of Corrections to prepare the pre-sentencing investigation. State, for the purposes of sentencing, do you anticipate eliciting any testimony from, be it the victim's family?
2 or 3 victim impact statements, sir.
Okay. Mr. Owens, do you plan on presenting any evidence during the course of the sentencing hearing, sir?
Probably some testimony from Dr. Harper.
Okay. All right. How long do you think, State, that you would need?
You mean timing wise, or are we thinking?
A quantum of time, sir. Yeah, well, normally it takes about 30 days or so. I'm confirming with Anita as to availability.
Thank
I just
you,
want to know
Maria.
from your side of the ledger, how much time? Okay, 15 minutes. How much time do you think you're going to need to produce anything from your side of the ledger, sir? Mr. Owens?
I'd say 30 minutes.
Okay.
30 to 45.
So if we set this for an hour, that would be sufficient.
Parties agree. Okay. State agrees.
Is that sufficient, Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Okay, all right, give me a moment. Ms. Barrios is checking. Just give us a moment. We can set this matter for 1:30 in the afternoon for sentencing on December 2. State, is that acceptable? It's a Monday.
I just add us hearing, but I'll make it work.
I can move it to later if necessary.
I'm co-counsel on it.
Okay, defense.
You know, when-
Yes, sir.
That's Monday, December 2 at 1:30.
Yes, sir.
I can be here.
Ma'am, you've been adjudicated guilty. I now remand you into the custody of the Orange County Jail pending sentencing on December 2 at 1:30. State, anything else we need to address?
Not from the state.
Defense. All right, thank you very much. We're off the record.
Well done, jury. Well done. Non-sarcastic clap. Fantastic. All right, let's just see. But she's already in leg irons. I mean, that's all I needed to hear. They announced she's going to be in leg irons for the reading of the verdict. Well, then we know what it is. I guess not if it's the main one or lesser included offense, but you knew she's guilty of something at that point. I guess I kind of wanted to see her freak out or blubber, but you know, a solid guilty is good enough. She may be crazy, but she's not a wussy like Chili. I'll give her that. So among other things, she excels at losing cases. There you go. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Donna. What was the date? Do we have sentencing scheduled? I'm sure they just said it. I was focusing on her. Just getting her prints. Oh, thank you, Leslie. I mean, it really isn't that heroic. When you don't feel well, the best place to work is from home. This was a good case. It does get grueling just because it's so long, but this was an interesting case with good stuff. It's been fun. And that's that, people. I love it. So, you know, the right thing doesn't always happen, but it often does. And that falls under the column of the right thing happened. Not only did the right thing happen, I will give this jury credit.
I'm going to have to argue about everything from who she is
the right
to what
thing.
the charge is. It'd be easier to just put on the.
You gotta turn that off. Not only did it all played into Judge Middleton, but not only did they do the right thing, but they did it quickly, which shows me that they had it together. That's about as long as it should take. I mean, they ate dinner, so they deliberated for what, maybe 45 minutes at most. And most of that is like, hey, we got to find the room and pick a chair and elect a foreperson and yeah. I mean, literally, they must have been right on it, because even if everybody walks in and instantly says guilty, which is apparently what happened, you still have like all this paperwork and crap to fill out. It's like a process. Like you have to go through the forms. It's it's a pain. So like, even if you have unanimous agreement in 30 seconds, you still have 10 to 15 minutes of paperwork to do before you can leave. and you have probably 5 minutes of electing a foreperson and all this crap before. So you're looking at probably 20, 25 minutes, like minimum. And I think that's about what they did. The rest of that was shuffling around, getting their stuff together, getting assembled, going back into the room and reading the verdict. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, but they might have talked for 10, 20 minutes at most. But she was guilty. I have to say, I was a little worried. You always feel that way when you see these things. I was a little worried when they got that spousal abuse thing in, not because I thought, I actually didn't think not guilty was even a possibility. On the downside, I thought you can get one dopey person who just, sort of anti-authoritarian or just extreme in their views, and you can talk that juror into a hung verdict. But I knew like a majority of people would be like, no, she's guilty. And some of those people would be like me. They'd be like adamant, like I don't care if all 5 of you say not guilty, then we're hanging it. I'm not voting not guilty in this case. Period. End of statement. That I think you'd have at least one of those, probably five out of 6 of those. But it's always a concern that they get somebody. So I thought they might hang it. In this case, if you hang it with that evidence, you just retry it. But that would be such a colossal waste. Oh, thank you, Wendy. So I don't have any. Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness. Look at all this business. Look at all this business here. All right, now I'm just trying to get through this. I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, she's just like a shell of a person. She didn't have any reaction to that. She acted the same as she did when she walked in there. She had no emotional reaction to that. All I can gather from that is she knows she's guilty. Doesn't bother her that much. I mean, I'm sure she would prefer to get out of it, but I don't think she ever thought she would. I'll give her a little credit for that amount of reality. Oh, she has no remorse. She has this victim mentality, but part of that victim mentality is she starts believing her own stuff, and she thinks, oh, I'm the victim, but she's talked herself so thoroughly into it that she thinks she's a victim and she can't win the case as a result of it. Which she can't, because she's guilty of sin. I have no idea what the range of sentencing is on murder 2 in Florida. All I can speculate is what I read in my chat, so that's not adding much to it. But, it looks like I've heard thrown around 15 to 25. I have no freaking idea. The number of sentencings I've done in the state of Florida on murder 2 cases is exactly 0. It's the same as my number of mistake-free days. It's a big fat goose egg. Oh, thank you, Morgan. Actually, you guys helped me out. It was my therapy. I wasn't like that sick. I was like, whatever. Nobody cares. I just had that level of illness where like I could do. This is irritating. I had the level of illness where I could do everything annoying, like my work. Like I couldn't justify not doing any things that I was supposed to do, but I didn't feel well enough to have fun. It's a whole week without naughty adventures. I think I need a vacation. I really do. This is an outrage. It's an outrage. Can you imagine? I mean, I'm still in Chicago, for crying out loud. That's the level that we've sunk to around here. No, she does not. She might get some ramen over in the commissary. I'm told that's a thing. Did you pick up on some of that conversation? Maybe she just went into delusional land and she's like, this isn't happening. This is a dream. When I click my slippers together, I'm gonna wake up and this will all be over. She might be there. Well, thank you. ABC 123. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm easy that way. I like to buy burritos sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Think you need coffee. Thank you, Catherine Michelle. My God, why do we have chat booming like this? Thank you, Randy Knight. Thank you all for coming out, keeping me company. Oh, thank you, Rosalind. Rosalind's. I can't even keep track, but I think she's responsible for like 2 of these songs. But I think she needs to make more. I'm out of lot of talk with Mike songs, Rosalind. Get on it. Because the ones I have are good. I just need more. Christmas present for Sarah. I'll make sure it gets to her. Not. Sparkle Poots. Really? You think she's confident in the appeal already? I don't see any good appealable issues. I see the usual garbage. You can always say something, so there'll be an appeal. There always is. But I didn't. Again, though, I don't do criminal. I didn't see anything that really stuck out in my brain as like, oh, this thing's got a problem with the appellate court. All right, I don't know how to say this, and you've been around too. Ascendo World or Exendo World? Thank you. Well, thank you, Maria, and thank you for all the memberships too. Well, I'm not going to tell you who's at fault for this. I'm just not. Thank you, Iris. Oh yeah. That this shirt's a fraud. I'm completely not retired. But everyone did enjoy your puppy today. I don't know if you saw it, but your puppy's now famous. Probably won't even talk to you. December 2nd or 1st at December 2nd, 1 or 1:30. Like right after Thanksgiving, I'm guessing, or close shortly after that. I'm not sure. That's not completed yet, but I might have a cool plan with one of my flamingos for Thanksgiving. Pretty excited about that. We shall see. My God, this chat is fine. There's nothing going on, people. Thank you so much. I'm trying to do like the super chats, but it just keeps being more stuff. I feel good about this. And I think this is the first time I've done a whole trial and got the verdict. It's like complete. There's a playlist. It was almost like a semi-competent YouTube experience. We were there every day. I swore I wouldn't, but I did it. Thank you, Kimby63. Thank you. This is the best place to watch trials, let's be honest. Thank you, Nikki Stewart. Oh, and so much more. That's how I got my Trans Am Firebird. If you don't even know what I'm talking about. You really shouldn't. If you do, don't admit it. In Florida, the minimum sentence for second-degree murder is 16 years and 3/4 in prison without parole. And the maximum sentence is life in prison. Google, source Google. Okay, so we're somewhere between 16 to 16 is minimum. And they got to do 3/4 of that. So she's there over 10 years anyway you slice it. You know, it was actually fun. The problem with trials is you don't know what's going to happen. It's just this one actually went well. If I would have known that ahead of time, big, high-profile, interesting case, 7 days, lots of interesting stuff happens. Yes, you're going to have times. You're going to have expert witnesses that are going to be boring. You're going to have jury instructions that are going to be boring. You're going to just have times with sidebars that are boring. But there was some interesting stuff that happened here. What we didn't have, which is actually kind of good, but what we didn't have is really, like, a lot of times the attorneys that get crazy, you know, in these cases, like Depp Heard or something like that, where it's just like, they're just characters. This was more straight-laced, competent on both sides. Yeah, you know, he ended up not liking the defense attorney primarily because of his client and the crappy position he was put in. That and the fact that he is annoying as hell. Those two things together. See how I bailed out on defending him there? Just mid-sentence. I just switched fields. I said, screw it. It's Friday night. I'm going to tell the truth. No, but I'm just saying I understand where he's coming from. He wasn't saying crazy stuff. He wasn't, you know. We didn't have, like, legitimate calls for mistrial or lying to, you know, all this kind of stuff. Well, yes, but only as a method of getting herself out. I mean, she did hate him. That just made me sick. This notion that she kept trying to say, I loved him. I loved him. No, you didn't freaking love him. You hated him. He was a change of pace from your first husband, who's a straightforward beta simp. but a guy with a decent job and had money. He's a much better provider and much more. But that's no fun. That's no fun, and it's not exciting. By the time you decide to jump ship and find the fun guy, you would run out of attractiveness. I don't know if she ever had it, but she certainly didn't in the time frame that I haven't seen a good picture of this woman. I haven't seen a time where she had any swing. She probably did when she was younger. I just haven't seen the picture. So then you have to get, you're looking at bargain basement fun guy, and that's George. He's a guy who will drink too much and do crazy stuff, and that's fun and it's exciting. He'll break the law. He'll do this, a little that. That's exciting. But you can't. She was not able to get like the guy that's got a little edge and a job. Hell no. She was not in a position to pull that in. So she settled for George. But then once she got into it, and she realized she was still used to having someone provide for her. And when she realized, hey, this guy's leeching off me, I'm not leeching off him. She hated him. She hated him for it. And there was no going back. And you could see it in all those videos. So, no, she didn't love him. She absolutely hated the guy. But she did enjoy the control she asserted over him. She's sadistic. It's that simple. I'm no psychiatrist. I'm not claiming any. I'm just telling you the way it is. That's what's going on. People can put all sorts of fancy terms on it, but that's what it is. She was buying what little fun she could with what she had left, which wasn't very much. In the mate department, she was at Goodwill. Minimum of 16 3/4 years without chance of parole. Still better than my marriage. That's interesting. I don't know. Shit, that's hard to read. It's just that, that might be a sign of it. Just the complete lack of showing any emotion about it. Maybe that's means you've gone completely off the edge, or maybe she's just not capable of emotion. I don't know. I really would have to ask someone about that. But it's an odd response. Like, even if you're guilty of sin and you tried and you lost or whatever, and you're like, yeah, I kind of knew it, but like, wouldn't you just be just the devastation of the realization that you're not leaving prison anytime soon, and that's now where you're at for the better part of your life, and even if you ever do leave prison, you're going to be really old. I mean, actually, people can live, but she already is. She's already lived hard, and prison's not going to be easy. So she's going to be used up. If she gets out at, say, 70, she's not going to be a young 70. I'm sure her attorneys told her to take it. I'm sure they did. Yeah, that's interesting. I actually kind of liked him. I'm sitting there I'm saying sort of not the nicest things about him, but I'm just being honest. I think he's a good person. He's just not attractive he's not attractive to women because he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to act. I'm not even sure he likes women, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying that's just the vibe I get. I don't care in the least if he does or not, but like, if that's a question in your mind, you're not going to attract a lot of women. But separate all that crap. I don't care what he likes or doesn't like. He's a decent guy. He showed up. He's too nice, and he tried to bail her out. But whatever he's doing, he's stable. He makes money. He contributes to society. He's a decent human being. Then when she calls, he hits a fine line, which just tells me he's a solid guy. She calls up and does this stuff. He knows her. He knows that some bad shit going on. So he comes over to sort of be supportive, but he doesn't know what the deal is. When he gets there, he's like, no, this is too much. You done killed somebody. I'm not going in there. I'm not spreading my DNA around for you to point fingers at me. He was too smart to do that. So he's like, I'll help you out, maybe even cover something up if it's minor, but not if you killed somebody. If you kill somebody, you're on your own. That to me struck me as a very rational, reasonable person. He just isn't what women are looking for. And like I said, to the truth be told, I'm not sure if that's what he's looking for. Yeah. Yeah, I felt bad for the family. I truly did. That this just horrible. It was horrible for me to watch, and I'd never, seen or heard of this guy before I started watching the trial. It's just horrible as a human being. Forget about it if it's if it's your son or your brother. All right, this is a conspiracy. Thank you, Riri. How do we get this? This is really sweet of y'all. It is. But I don't understand why the chat's going with nothing. There's nothing happening, people. She's guilty. Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm digging it. Oh, thank you, Rusty O'Neill. I'm not familiar with that, but I'm happy if the right result was reached. It sounds like it. We had Miss Pearl. Miss Pearl was good. Yeah, she was all right. We had a nice chat. She'd have a nice chat with anybody. Miss Pearl, I don't know. Miss Pearl goes to church on Sunday, and she has the hat. You know what I'm talking about? She has the church hat. That's who Miss Pearl is. She has it all put together, and she wears the hat, and she is serious as all get out, and she gets to that church on Sunday. Now, I'm just making this up, but that's my guess. What do I know? She could be in Hell's Angels. Thank you, Laws Callie. They needed a pre-sentence investigation. She's sitting in custody. So there was she's sitting in custody, convicted of murder too. She didn't go anywhere. So it's not really like, there's no emergency, but usually they want to do a pre-sentence investigation. They have to, depends on the state. I'm only saying this from what I see on YouTube, but they want to do a report and say, okay, here's all the stuff. Here are the priors. Here are the factors that weigh into it. And then they grade it, and then they have guidelines and recommendations for the sentencing. But all that stuff takes time. It's complicated. So in order to gather all that information, it takes a little bit of time. They also might want to give people, victims, so like for instance, the family might want to testify and give a victim impact statement. You want to give notice and all that kind of stuff. I don't understand that. There's a teenager game show clip disaster. Somebody send it to me. Somebody send it to me. Thank you, Nikki Stewart. Thank you, Vanessa Wright. Good point. Good point. He may have not started that way, but she sent him down that path, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Yes. Oh, thank you. I was pretty confident that was going to happen, but again, you never know. I probably felt the same way everybody else did. You just never know. Something stupid's going to happen. It's court. That's our system. Oh. Well, thank you. I think Minnie Pearl. Well, I wasn't thinking of her specifically, but yes, the Minnie Pearl-esque hat. The Southern Church lady hat, it's not fancy enough to wear a dress to church. You gotta have a hat. That's how I picture Pearl. It's a nice image. I don't know if it's correct, but that's the way I see it. Thank you, Katie Squire. Oh, good Lord. Thank you, Colleen M. You've been through a lot with us. Well, according to my chat, 16 to life. I don't know if that's true. Honestly, though, I see it a lot. I'm like, I don't know. But my chat's usually pretty good. Marrying Sarah would impede vlog travel. It'd impede a lot of things. Like your will to live. All right. There we go. Thank you all for coming out. I appreciate it. I will see you all soon.